Hello, everyone. Before we start today's show, I want to remind all of you to take part in our Stump the One Piece podcast competition, where you could win a Color Walk Compendium Volume 2, again, from Viz. Now, all you have to do is send in a question to us, and we have to not be able to answer that question correctly. So all you need to do is either on Twitter or email, send it with the hashtag StumpOPP. It could be about any chapter, any event, any character in One Piece. If you submit multiple questions, we will only be asking one of those. You can submit it with your answer if you so choose. And submit it either to onepiecepodcast@gmail.com or at One Piece Podcast on Twitter. We'll also be giving out a lot of other things for those who are not in the US and Canada. So please enter now. There's more information on onepiecepodcast.com. Enjoy the show. This is the One Piece Podcast, episode 590 for the week of Sunday, October 13th, 2019. My name is Zach.
And my name is Ed.
And on today's show, very special guest, he is the translator for One Piece in Shonen Jump and Manga Plus. And you're going to hear a lot of him today, and it's going to be great. His name is Stephen Paul. How's it going, Stephen?
And he is me. I'm doing good.
The he is you. And we also have from Anime News Network, he is our anime recap host and anime extraordinaire in general. We have Sam Leach on. How's it going, Sam?
Anime extraordinaire.
Yeah, that's a new one I just came up with on the spot there. Is it good? Is it fitting?
I feel like some people will take issue with that.
Well, I don't really care about some people. And we also have our official artist. She's an artist extraordinaire. We have Maddie with us. How's it going, Maddie?
Hey, I am. I accept the title.
Good.
Extraordinaire.
Good, as you should.
I hesitated.
It's
that
accurate.
was my mistake.
That was your fatal flaw at the end of the day. So today we're going to be going through, what are we, volume 93? What the hell are we up to? 94. I have the volume in front of me, but I can't read the Japanese numbering. So we're going to go through that. It just came out in Japan on October, was it the 4th?
Yeah, this is as timely as it could possibly be because it came out after last episode, or I think, or just the day or so before last episode. Yeah, and so now here we are, very next week, talking about it.
Yeah. So we're going to go through that. For those who don't know how it works, we're going to go through the SBS questions. If you have an AAC-capable podcast reader, which are really just becoming less and less common, or if you watch on YouTube, you can see the corresponding images when you hear this noise. That means that a new image is coming up on your device. So we're going to go through that. We also have a little bit of piece together, and I think we're going to have some anime recap for you as well. Sam, do you have the episode names or numbers?
I have, let's see here. It's 905, Taking Back Otama, A Fierce Fight Against Hold'em, and 906, Duel, The Magician and the Surgeon of Death.
Thank you. So I think... Oh, I did want to mention a few quick announcements, actually, before we get into things. First, we had some of our crew go to the Stampede Red Carpet premiere in Los Angeles. Unfortunately, Steve is not here, so he will be on next week, I believe, unless, I hear otherwise between now and then. We also made announcements for our One Piece guests, or One Piece fan guests, through the end of November, so I'm just going to go through all of them right now. We have Alan Ortega. He's coming on October 20th. Matt Cohen makes his return. Somehow, it's the first time this year. I feel like he had been on more recently. October 27th. God's Will be on this time on November 3rd. We have David Bednar on November 10th. Rogers Base returns on November 17th. And then we're doing something a little bit special. on November 24th, and Maddie will be on for that, as well as Jill, Kelly, and the two hosts of the My Hero Academia podcast, Kendra and Sophie. So check all those out. Don't stop listening to us. I don't care what anyone says. Why don't we get into our recap of Volume 94?
Okay.
This is the volume recap for Volume 94, A Soldier's Dream. You could pick up this volume. It's in Japanese, but if you don't care, or if you could read Japanese, you could pick it up at your local Japanese bookstore or Amazon Japan. And those are the two that pop into my head. I got a Kinokuniya, which had it the same day it came out in Japan, which was pretty cool. And I also want to note, I forgot to mention this in the news segment, but it is related. The Viz Media schedule for volumes, including this one, has come out. November 5th is Volume 92. December 3rd is the next Omnibus edition. April 7th, 2020 is when Volume 93 comes out.
That's a big gap.
That's not... It gets bigger. On May 5th is when the first Ace volume comes out. Ace's Story Volume 1. There's 2, I believe, for that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then on August 4th, 2020 is when this volume comes out in English. So go back to this episode if you want to listen to exactly the things that we were saying. So
this is why we keep doing these episodes, because that schedule just isn't catching up.
Not anytime
well,
soon.
those are tentative. I mean, the further out, the more subject they are to getting shifted around.
Yeah, but I think they've gotten about as close as they're going to get.
Yeah, probably. It seems to line up well with the anime content, so that seems to work out for them.
That's what they're kind of trying to do, I guess. Yeah. So if you're wondering when are we going to get to this material in the anime, around August 4th. So let's talk about this volume, Stephen.
Yeah. So this is the latest volume of the manga, and I think similar to the last couple, maybe. I forget when he started doing it, but they did put up a process video on, I think it was on the Instagram of Oda, sort of sketching it out. And
this is the Oda staff account, I believe.
Yeah,
staff. I think that's the
Twitter
handle.
You got the multicolored One Piece logo in here. He's been doing that a lot lately.
Yeah, and it seemed like I want to say wasn't he also you can see in the thing that he was basically deciding a lot of the color schemes as he was going, or maybe that was the last one, I forget. But as far as character.
Yeah, I think one that we mentioned before was Okiku's mask. That's on this one, right?
Yes, she is there with her.
It was going to be red, but then what is it?
It's white.
Yeah.
Yes. So there's some cool stuff about that. I am a little curious too. This is kind of a minor detail, but that Kaido. So obviously the background of this image is Kaido and Big Mom clashing, which happens towards the end of this volume, I believe. Yeah, that's right. And they kind of have a greenish tint to their skin, the more shaded parts of their skin, I guess, has a greenish. You can see it most clearly on Kaido's horns, and it made me wonder, is that supposed to be because the background of the color of the cover is green, or is that supposed to kind of tell us something about what Onigashima is like, because that's where they're fighting, of course. That was curious. And the other thing that stuck out to me, well, it doesn't really stick out that much, but it was that's a little bit weird, is so in the foreground you have obviously Luffy and Hyo are sitting on top of Kawamatsu's hat, and he's doing his katana, outstretched arm, sideways pose, which Momonosuke is copying. And then on the other side is Otama doing her little, pinching her cheek to make the dango dumpling. but he placed it in kind of this weird way where like the katana is like sort of halfway over her face or like her chin, so that you can't really see very well like that's what she's doing. Which
at first I thought she was just waving hi to the reader. Hey, everybody, I'm on the cover.
Okay sign.
Yeah, it's a bit of an odd choice, and I don't know if that was an oversight or if that was like Oda kind of playing mind game, because I feel like, you know, as he gets older, he kind of likes to do things in like somewhat counterintuitive ways, just to kind of I don't know, just to be different, just to shake things up a little bit, and maybe that was what he was going for, or maybe he just wasn't thinking about it, but it struck me as a bit of an odd choice. But other than that, it's not a bad cover.
Does anyone else have any other opinions on the cover? Because I don't think we had a chance to talk about this very much on the show.
I've been like really thrilled by the covers for a while now. Like none of the 101s have been super exciting.
I like the way they integrated Kawamatsu into it. You don't really realize that it's him at first.
He's still a little anonymous.
Yeah.
But you can see, you can still see he's a kappa.
Yeah, he's got the green skin. Orange hair is kind of interesting. But yeah.
Maddie, do you have opinions?
On the cover in general?
Yeah.
No, it's cute. I like how they're sitting on Kawamatsu.
Yeah.
That's like
yeah, go ahead.
I don't know. I mean, that's where I'd want to sit.
On his head?
Yeah.
I actually really like this cover. I think it's pretty dynamic. The Kawamatsu in particular. Although now that you're mentioning Otama there, it's distracting me. But no, I like this one a lot. I'm not a huge fan of the green. I mean, I understand the green and pink thing that he's doing there with Big Mom and Kaido, but I actually am I think it's a really different and cool looking cover, and I mostly just like Chopper, Luffy, and Old Man Joe on the on his head. That's pretty great. I would buy a figure of that.
I totally would too.
Yeah. I don't buy a lot of figures, but I would buy a figure of that.
Well, let's go to the underside of the cover. Let me take off the dust cover.
Speaking of figures,
yeah, well, the one Panda Man's pretty easy to spot here. He's just kind of I don't know what's up with this expression. He looks mean, but he's like positioned behind Okiku's shoulder there,
he's
and just kind of hanging out. Nothing more to mention here, except that perched inside the mouths of Kaido and Big Mom, like those parasites that eat fish tongues and then they just hang out and they become the tongues. There's tiny little panda men.
Oh, you haven't heard of that? That's crazy.
No.
Yeah.
It's gross.
I've heard about
Don't check it out.
It's very gross.
That take over ants' brains.
Well,
that's isn't that fungus? This is it is a
fungus. Yeah, just like Panda Man.
These little funguses are
inside
of.
He's a fun guy. Panda Man's a fun guy.
He is a fun guy. That is true, and he's having fun inside both Kaido's. In Kaido's mouth, it looks more like the uvula position, but in Big Mom's, it looks like her wisdom teeth. Just little. And he's waving. He's like, "Hi, guys."
I totally did not see that. I'm like, oh, okay, there's Panda Man. That's kind of boring. Usually he does something more exciting. And I definitely went back and forth and went through the whole volume, and then I'm like, oh my god, look at that. That's some brilliant work from Oda. I think that might be some of his best work in One Piece, period. I'm done. That's it.
All right. He also, because the spine image is, he did a side by side of Kaido and Big Mom, and so on the underside of the spine, he also, it's the same thing. You get the little little tiny Panda Man is still there.
I did not notice that, but that's great. That's fantastic.
So let's go to the author comment here, which is a very happy snail. In
not a
true
transponder type, or
no, this looks wild to me. But his comment is that apparently snails don't go over. They refuse to go over their own trails because they hate the sliminess. What gives? What? That's his comment.
If that's true, that's actually some very interesting information there.
Yeah.
This looks like it was drawn digitally. Right?
Yeah, there's like
I can see that
filter or something on it. It looks like the paint is old and dried, like old frescoes or something.
It's a very different looking image, and yet also looks completely like an Oda snail.
Yeah. So we will go on to the content of this volume. So volume 94, A Soldier's Dream. This covers from chapter 943, which is Smile, that begins right in the direct aftermath of Yasuie's execution, where they explain the truth behind the Smile fruit, and it ends with chapter 953. Once a Fox, which of course is the chapter about Onimaru the fox, the shape-shifting fox.
That's a kind of odd chapter to end on, I feel like, but
yeah, well, it's more of like I don't know. It's more I don't know. Yeah, it's a mood chapter kind of. It's not really like a explain the burning truth behind Wano. It's
I guess like you can't. The one before ends with what's his name? The fox guy. I forget his name. Anyway, it's just him running away. So I guess that's not a good one either. And
yeah, I remember
one
being
before
frustrated.
is a good one to end on. Though.
Is that Gyukimaru?
Gyukimaru, it's his human form.
Yeah.
So that's what this volume covers. There's actually quite a lot of SBS, more than usual, I think, in this volume. So let's get right into it. The first segment where we get the actually, let me call up because I've been working on this already since I got it in. So I have done some of the SBS. I'm not all the way through translating all of them for our eventual release coming in August of 2020 or whatever date you said.
Yeah.
So I have some background, some backup material here. So we start off with the header from one of the frequent artists who draws these SBS header images, and it's the picture of Law when he says from Dressrosa when he says the D will always call another storm or whatever. And there's a bit of a tricky wordplay here because he says D, and he's so in the Japanese volumes. For English we just say Q and A for question and answer, but in the Japanese volumes it's actually D and O, and the D stands for Dokusha, which means reader, and O obviously stands for Oda when he answers the questions. So Law says the D will always call Oda, and he's referring to the Dokusha, the reader. So I think mine is going to be the D livery of fan mail will always call Oda, and then Oda the fish head is like, you called? So there he is summoned for the segment, and our traditional starting of the SBS comes from a reader called Normal is Best, and the comment is, we're starting the SBS. And Oda's like, whoa! That's so normal. Oh my God. It's I can't imagine a more normal starting. I was not expecting that. So there we go. It's 94 volumes in, and it's the most normal starting yet. So the first question comes from reader Takataka, who says, Odachi, you are not supposed to use breast bands for your hokkamuri, which, if you recall, it actually came up in this volume, is the word for the tying your like handkerchief around under your nose to be a disguise. So in the breastbands, of course, was what.
We're off to a good start already.
Yeah, it is what Kinemon calls Nami's bikini top in Punk Hazard, which is the little image that they show here. So yes, don't use a bikini top as your robber's disguise, basically. And it is like, what? Oh, come on now. Oh, you Joker. What? Do I hear sirens? So the police are coming after him.
What does he need to rob a bank for?
Yeah, well, it's probably the question is more like, where did he get the
he's getting arrested for something. That's
yeah. So the next question is this is actually a pretty good one, I think, from Momotaro Hunter, who says, I have a very important announcement. So I noticed on page 23 of volume 87 that Sanji is kicking Big Mom. Whatever happened to the Sanji who wouldn't kick a woman?
Oh.
And so it explains this scene. Oda gives us some context. This is when Big Mom is attacking, and it's both Luffy doing his gear third, or the elephant gun, I should say, and Sanji is kicking as well. And Oda says, yeah, so I got a couple people actually trying to call me out for this, but you are wrong. So in this scene, Big Mom is throwing a punch at Reiju, and Luffy and Sanji are stepping in to block the punch. However, so think about this. If Big Mom is punching, do you think that you can just stand up there and put your arms up to block it, and that's going to do the job? No, it's not going to work. So he used his kick to basically neutralize the force of Big Mom's punch. So it still counts as a defensive act, and it does not count as violence toward women. So Sanji's oath has not been broken. He's still in the clear.
Checkmate, nerds.
Yeah, very much.
That's some lawyerly getting around the issue kind of thing. But okay.
Yeah.
It's a good question, I think.
Yeah, Sanji is still cool. And the next question is from reader Toshi, who says, I just have one thing to say to Sanji, and there's a little picture of Sanji in his stealth black form. He says, if it's a mixed bath already, you don't have to use your stealth function. And Oda's like, well, Sanji, you heard that? Do you hear what they're saying? What do you have to say for yourself? And he has Sanji step in, and he says, listen, Toshi, don't you know that just because it's a mixed use bath, that doesn't mean that you can just stand there and ogle naked women. But if I'm invisible, I can ogle and Oda's like, nope, stop right there, Sanji. That's enough. Peeping at women is a crime, young men. So keep that in mind. And let's move on with the SBS.
Jesus Christ. So this is why your leg hair question did not get in, Maddie. Because these two questions,
right?
There was no other Sanji questions.
Oh no, there's another one.
We will get around to it. So next SBS, we have Luffy in the header is he appears to be tearing the actual drawing out of the way, or it's like the paper is there.
Oh, I love this.
Ripping it aside, and he's like, oh, so this is the SBS. And Nami and Usopp are like, don't tear it. I'm imagining that it's like the shoji, like he's doing like a Homer thing where he just rips the paper out of the way.
Kind of looks like Oda drew it.
It's a pretty good.
I mean, it's somebody kind of imitating his.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is super clever. I love meta stuff. The only time I could think of Oda doing this was volume 53, I think, when Luffy's jumping out of the volume at Impel Down. I don't know if you guys remember that one. On the cover. Anyway, go ahead.
So our first question is from a pen name Iroha, who says, so we know that the admirals, the Navy admirals, seem to have this naming pattern that all is it corresponds to a color and then an animal. Of course, so you have Akainu, red dog, Aokiji, blue pheasant, and Kizaru, yellow monkey, and then of course there's also Fujitora, who is like a lilac or purple tiger, and Ryokugyu is green bull. So the reader continues. I'm imagining that there must be some kind of deliberating body within the Navy that actually determines what these names are. Could the man in charge of this be the legendary Vice Admiral, and his Japanese name here is Nazuke Tagari, which would mean like I want to name things, or I want to name people. And actually, I've translated this already. This is very much in the fashion of the Twitter thread that I did recently with all of the very silly names. I'm actually going to hold off on revealing that here. I'll save that for the volume itself. But I've got one for him. Oda drew a little picture of this guy, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna name you. I'm gonna name the hell out of you." And he's got really weird, like super long, braided pigtail things.
Guys, and I found my new favorite character in One Piece, guys. Is this guy.
In a Fu Manchu.
Vice Admiral whatchamacallit.
Yep. And Oda's like, yeah. How did you know about this guy? There are other Navy members who have nicknames. It's not all just the admirals, but this is the guy who names them. And so, yeah, I think he's probably referring to some of the other, like Chaton and what's her name now? I can't remember. Momo Usagi, who were also revealed in the SBS and have appeared in the series since then. All right, next question. This might be the most.
By the way, though, this guy's totally going to show up in canon at some
now
point.
He is, yes,
100%. That's just I'm like waiting for it. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, he's thinking of how to put him in there now.
You just see him thinking of names there.
Mm-hmm. So next we have, this is probably the question of the SBS, the very intriguing one. So this one is we have the little image from chapter 943, which is actually the very first thing that you see in this volume, which is the flashback to the young Akazaya 9, where they are talking with a younger Yasuie, and the reader says, "Wow, this is amazing. Chapter 943. I'm so emotional right now. Like, is that Izo? Is that Izo, the 16th Division commander for the Whitebeard Pirates? Like, was he formerly in the Akazaya 9? Man, was Oden? Was he one of the the 16 commanders?" And this comes from frequent writer in Hong Kong 420 land. And
our favorite our favorite pen name, which I think thanks to Maddie, I found him on Twitter and thanked him for his, I don't know if I thanked him for his amazing name or just seeing him in the SBS and congratulating him for that, but
yeah,
if he listens and somehow knows English, great name. Go ahead.
So Oda says, "Wow, it's it's a very small detail you've picked up on because, and yes, this was something I remember people were asking about this too, because the young, what you'd assume is the young Okiku, at least according, you can recognize who all the characters are, but the one who would be Okiku does look kind of odd." And so Oda's like, "Oh, it's a very it's a small detail you've picked on, very subtle." This is the flashback scene where a young Kinemon and his cohorts get captured. There are indeed 9 of them present, but what should be Okiku looks different. And Izo, by the way, is one of the Whitebeard division captains who shows up at the Paramount War, and he puts in a little insert of Izo. He says he wears the traditional Japanese clothing. He's got the kimono, and he certainly does look very much like the character in this little flashback. And there's also a note in volume 82, chapter 820, that a number of Wano people were on Whitebeard's ship. And then he finishes, all of this will be made clearer in time, so just sit back and read. You'll figure it out. And so he has the image of Usopp where he's jotting down all of the details where he's like, wait, so Oden and Dogstorm and Cat Viper were on Whitebeard's ship. So this was all around the I guess that was around the Raizo reveal and the catching up on the backstory of Kozuki Oden.
I forgot how adorable younger Cat Viper is.
Yeah, I love that. I love that scene.
I'm looking forward to seeing how that fits together, though. That's an interesting.
Interesting. I honestly thought that it was more like, oh well, maybe I figured that Oda was going to have an answer like, well, Okiku just became more beautiful and womanly over time or something like that. But this kind of makes
out her look.
Yeah, this kind of makes it sound like there's an actual plot thing behind this, which is
it's kind of weird he even put it in there, considering it seems like it might have to do with the future past development, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
he's just telling us he knows what he's doing. Yeah. Don't assume it's a mistake or something.
Yeah, I suppose so. So let's move on to the next SBS section where our header is of Hitetsu and Otama, and Hitetsu's got his long Tengu nose, and it is fully extended into an SBS pattern, much to for Otama's shock.
Terrifying, real terrifying.
Yeah, I feel like her expression is scarier than Hitetsu's nose, but
by the way, to help you transition into this question, when I saw this, I'm like, finally, this is addressed.
Yes, you can tell what this question is just from the character images that he put in. So yes, the question, of course, is I noticed that Kinemon's wife is named Otsuru, and there's also the Navy Vice Admiral Tsuru. Is it just a coincidence that they have the same name? And Oda's like, yeah, it is kind of funny. They got the same name. They're redundant. But here's the thing. So have you guys heard of a shoujo manga called Nana? It's super famous. And the entire premise of this manga is that
this is why you were asking about Nana.
This is the entire premise of the manga is that the two main characters are both named Nana. He's like, yeah, they're copied, they're redundant, and that series is super popular. It's super famous. So that's cool, right? You could do that.
And that's a fantastic answer.
Yeah, and this is why I needed it, because there's a famous line in the manga when they find out that they're both named it. So when these two characters come together one day, they're going to say, guess what, Sudu? My name's Sudu too. So,
by the way, to give him some more credit, people have the same name. It happens. There's two of them on this show. Not right now, but there's two Stevens.
When I was a kid, my friend group was 4 kids named Sam.
Oh my God.
Did you have a club name or something?
Sam's Club. Sam's
Club. We heard a lot. Sam's Squared if it was just 2 of us.
Wow.
Pretty great. We all had different nicknames.
That's the most clever thing I've ever said.
My dad had a summer job when he was a kid, and he worked at like a cookie factory or something. And he had there were three guys there who were named Earl, Merle, and Burl, and there was a woman named Pearl.
What kind of name is Burl?
Burl. Hey, Burl Ives. It's the
Burl. It's the Burl of sandwich.
Parents are just like sounding things out.
Yeah. It was a pretty magical cookie factory, I assume. But
I'm just all imagining them in a Sam's
It's a good
Club.
thing there wasn't like one more, because his name would have been Hurl.
All I'm saying is, I think this proves that Oda's outlandish names are fine, and that Oda having the same name twice is fine. I don't think I ever thought oh, that's so lazy. He gave two people the same name. I mean,
it's kind of a known.
Yeah,
it's kind of a known thing with if you're writing a novel or something. It's just a good rule of thumb that you want the names to kind of have a good balance and variety to them.
But to be fair, Oda's been writing this for almost 23 years, and there's a decent amount of characters.
Long.
Yeah, and
there are literally only so many names in the world.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be weirder if in the entire One Piece world of these however many characters he's made at this point, which is well over 1,000, that there's no two people with the same name.
Wait, your name's Luffy too?
There's a few characters with the same name. There's the two. What is it? Two Scotches.
Oh, Scotches. Yeah, that was the first time that ever happened, though, and that's pretty impressive.
I think there's a few more. I think there's there's Baron Tamago, and then there's another character who's like Tamagone or something like that in the Frankie family.
Yeah,
oh, that's not quite the same.
I think there's a manga. I think there's a manga character named Lily, and then there's a filler character named Lily.
Well, those don't count.
No.
Yeah, well, I feel like a lot of Big Mom's children, maybe they don't have the same name, but they have a lot of really really names.
Oh yeah, there were three of the kids had
yeah. That's just because they're all quintuplets and such.
Yeah. And if you ever have that many kids, you just give them all rhyming names. That's the way to do it.
Mermaid girls from who hang out with Kimi.
Yeah, that's what he should have done. He should have had Suru and Suru 2.
Yeah.
I almost did a spit take there because I was literally sipping my tea when you said that.
just out in the world, there's someone named Suru 2. Yeah. Her name's only different for the reader's benefit.
Yeah.
I love that's a great gag too.
Eventually, we'll meet Luffy too, just because. Ran out of names.
The kids will call him Luffy. Anyway.
What?
Let's move on to the next one, which is the return. I don't think we had one last volume. It is the return of the aged characters. And this time
I thought we didn't have Nami in the last volume?
That was in 92.
Oh, that was? Okay.
Yeah.
Or was there was it Sabo in the last one?
I'll look.
I don't think so. So this time we have Usopp, and his good Usopp at age 40 is definitely kind of taken after Yasopp here. He's got the flowing hair, and he's got the sort of crinkles around his eyes, and the facial hair, the little beard, chin, and mustache, and he looks pretty confident and experienced, and he's saying, "The pirate flag is calling me," which I believe wasn't that pretty much Yasopp's line when he left.
When the pirate flag beckons, you must heed its call, I think is what Funimation uses.
That's something like that. And then age 60, he looks a little more scarred. He's got a scar line on his forehead.
He looks like a babe.
Yeah, he looks. Yes, this is definitely
awesome.
This is definitely I don't want to say Silver Fox, although he does have his hair is less colored in, so I guess maybe you could do. He looks like Rayleigh or something.
Yeah,
here.
I was gonna say I love both of these. These are great, and I hope
tattoo on his shoulder.
Yeah, the shoulder tattoo there. And the interesting thing, so his comment, I've translated it as now there's a familiar face I'd love to see again. So the interesting thing is that like he calls, so yeah, he's saying like I sure miss him or her. Like it's a non-determinate like third person pronoun. So he could be talking about Kaya, or he could just as easily be talking about like Luffy or anyone.
Yeah. I definitely get the impression that they're kind of like the hypothetical backstory is like the adventure is over and they've all kind of split up and become like kind of individual legends throughout the world.
Yeah.
And in the other situation, by the way, you're right. They did not do it in volume 93 because he was too busy taking questions on the mixed bath, because there's like 10 questions about that in the last one.
Right.
Go ahead.
We've got a couple more this week.
Yes, we do. So yes, in the unfortunate future, at age 40, Usopp has he's filled out his figure, and he's he looks kind of grody, not surprisingly. And he
looks
saying
like his nose shrinks in the age 40 one, or like the he gets a Blackbeard
the rest of his
nose.
face is swollen.
Yeah. His nose is less impressively endowed.
Yeah. It's lost its hot dog shininess.
I just realized he goes through a lot of physical changes in this bottom one.
Mm-hmm. So his comment at age 40 is like, Luffy's my underling, and as he holds out his hand in explanation. And then at age 60, he's clearly like sitting on the ground, like leaning against a wall or something, because he's got his arms up on his knees, but he looks like he's on his deathbed or something. He's I
think it looks like he's taking a bath or something.
He should be taking a bath, because he's got a kind of a pigpen look, but the undershirt is all stained, and his hair is completely white. And in this one, so the first one he said, Luffy's my underling, and then at age 60 he's like, Zoro? Oh yeah, he's my underling.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why it's so funny that he says the same thing, but yeah,
it's like he's having the same conversation for 20 years. That's I guess is what is trying to transpire there.
Yeah.
And yes, also Sanji and Nami, and he just goes through the crew for 20 years.
Yeah. So we'll go on to the next SBS, and I love the choice of headers here because this person has selected characters from the Wano classroom scene with the teacher with the Rokurokubi, like the snake neck, where she's teaching the kids all the Orochi, the pro Orochi propaganda. And the one kid's got the two ruler style, whacking the other kid as they do their SBS poses.
Very clever. I like this one.
Yeah, I like it. So, as we promised, more mixed bath, or specifically more just bathhouse questions. So this one comes from Sanadachi, who is another frequent, usually the person who writes in the perverted questions. So here we go. This is a question about the bathhouse servants, which, if you recall, in that scene were the octopuses. They are
octopi. They're octopi. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that one you can say octopuses.
Well,
yes, it's true. So Sanadachi says, Oda-sensei, I want to help people. I want to be of use. So I would love to be a bathhouse servant. And the I don't know if this is like the traditional name or just sort of like the nickname for them is Sansuke, which is also just like a straight up name, old fashioned name, would be like third son. But the problem is I only have 2 arms instead of 8, so I can only help the women. And Oda's like, there you are, it's Sanada the pervert. Well, you can't, because if you did it, I can. The only future that I can envision is you getting arrested. So, to talk about the role of the Sansuke, the bath attendant, in a historical setting would take really long. So, if you're interested, please. No, he says, so if you're interested, you'd have to, you can look it up for yourself. But let's see. It is true. He says it is true that in the Edo period at the mixed bathhouses, the men there were men who would work there. They were like the lower employees, and they would help wash, do the washing the back of the customers. But they would never hire a disgusting pervert like Sanada. So give it up. Forget about it. So there you go. He's just kind of acknowledging that, yes, this was a real thing. The next question from a different person says, Sanada just said that he would like to see more mixed bathing scenes. And Oda's response is, Sanada, you bastard, I'm gonna get you. So that's a joke that he's done before, where the people just write in and say, Sanada said blah, blah, blah. So the next one is the same reader says, I just heard Sanada saying that he wants Komurasaki to step on him. And it's like, Sanada, stop spoiling the morals of the SBS. And with little steam clouds. So there you go. The last question from this segment is about Shutenmaru. It says the little tree on Shutenmaru's head is based on the Rakugo story of Atamayama, or Head Mountain, right? And is that in your case, Oda Sensei, where does the tree grow out of? And Oda says, yes, that's correct. There's a Rakugo routine, a Rakugo story called Atamayama. And it's a very strange story where there's a cherry blossom tree growing out of a person's head. And then people, it's a very surreal concept, but people basically go and they gather around the tree on top of his head to do the flower viewing, the hanami. It's a very strange one, and in fact, I believe I did describe that. I forget if it was in a chapter or a chapter recap, or if it was in a maybe like one of the magazine things. But I know I did talk about that. So Oda continues. In my case, you asked, where does the tree grow out of? And the answer is from my crotch, of course. Now gather around and view the flower petals. Let's do hanami. Why do I hear police sirens?
Someone getting arrested in every page.
Yeah.
and it's Oda.
Yes.
He should be arrested.
Well, if
yes.
any of these things are even slightly true, then yes.
That is true, yes. So we'll move on to the next SBS, and this one is another fun little header image of Morley, where he's he's kind of stuck inside the border of the SBS header, and he's like, "Are you too cramped? You need more room? You want me to expand it?" And so he's like pushing on the edge, and it's bulging outward the way that his little hollowing power works. And the first question, I think we did nail this one. Is a question about the scene in volume 90 on page 67. This was the Revolutionary Army Captain page or chapter, where there's a girl who is like being hurt. She's being attacked, and she collapses onto Bello Betty, and she squishes against Bella Betty's boobs, and they're pointing out, doesn't that girl's skirt look a whole lot like the skirt of Moda, the girl from Ace's cover story, chapter 278, where she needs him to deliver the milk? Is that Moda grown up? And Oda says, that's correct. You spotted that. Well done. At the time of that story, Lelouchia Kingdom was still at peace, it would seem. But now the King Seki, and there was Princess Komane, who was the one who got kidnapped. They're real jerks, and it doesn't seem like the people are very happy at this point. So I sure hope that the Revolutionary Army gave Moda and the others the bravery to hang in there and to keep soldiering on. So there you go, confirmation that was indeed Moda, the milkmaid.
Yeah, I think we did nail that one, if I recall.
Yeah. And then the next one, this is kind of interesting. Not, I would say a fourth wall, but it's more about the reader submissions in general. The question is, so about the cover requests, in volume 56, it was, these were the, Straw Hats and an Animal, one by one reader requests. So, everyone would say so-and-so playing around with blah, 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 this animal. But now you've been taking other requests where it's like, oh, there doesn't have to be an animal specifically and doesn't have to be one of the Straw Hats. What's the actual, like what are the requirements for getting your cover request? What are you taking now? And Oda says, well, I've never actually officially said, send me these things. He just says, I forgot to do that, but people send them in, and so he says, thanks to everyone for sending in all of your requests. It's basically just, yes, I want an animal plus a character doing blank. And lots of them naturally end up being of the Straw Hat crew. But originally I thought I want to take as many requests, fulfill as many requests as possible. And so I would just, I would take one from each person and basically did it that way. But some people seem to be really good at giving these request prompts. I think he's clearly talking about Noda Skywalker here.
Yeah.
And he would worry. He would be like, oh, I really want to draw this one, but I already did one from this guy. So basically he ended up thinking, you know what, I'm just going to draw if I see it and I like it, I'm going to draw that one. Rather than kind of holding himself to certain restrictions. Basically, if you can get me to think, oh, this, the use of this animal or the, tying it into this character's nature, if it has something about it that just makes me want to draw it, I will happily do so because, drawing is my hobby. Even for his color spreads, if he thinks I really want to draw this, I will draw it. So just send in all your animal requests. It says I've been doing this for 22 years, and I feel like I've pretty much drawn every type of illustration there is to draw. So the newer and the fresher the request, the more fun it is for me.
So I think we as a podcast have to get some submissions together here. So we could spark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Two more SBS segments to go. The header here is a rather frightening one of Chopper in his Wano form. He seems to have Yasuie's hair here. He's got the spiky afro look, and he's doing a cool kabuki / samurai pose where he's holding his syringe like a katana, and stretching out his hoof towards the reader. and the what do we call this Mount Fuji, like Skinny Fuji or something like that, in the background.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
the way he's holding that is
he's holding it behind his back.
Yeah,
which is kind of what makes it look a little funky.
Wow. Okay.
So the first question here, we're back to swords. So this person says, I want to see what it would look like if Shanks's sword Griffin was a person. I bet it looks really awesome. Show us, Oda. What does it look like?
It's never awesome.
No. And Oda's like, you want to see Shanks' sword Griffin, huh? Well, leave it to me. I'm really good at drawing the personifications. I got it. Here you go. And it looks like I feel like this is like an illustration. This looks like one of those like winking, blinking, and nod. Like it looks like a European guy dressed up in his pajamas with like his hair's tied up almost like a nightcap, and he looks kind of sleepy.
That is his hair. Great.
But yes, that's his hair. And like an onion bulb at the end. This is great. I love it.
His Pagliacci collar.
Yes, his Pierrot clown collar. So that's Shanks' his partner, his life partner, right there, Griffin.
Every one of these feels like a shot at Bleach.
Yeah. Next question. I really love this one. This is going to be a fun one. So in chapter 931, titled Subamask, we have Usopp and Frankie are clamoring to they want to give Sanji an awesome name. They say, let us name you, let us give you a name instead. So that makes me really curious. What would their name be if they actually gave Sanji's Vinsmoke or Germa 66 name to him? And at that rate, in fact, what would the other members of the crew call him? Please tell us all of them. And Oda says, all right, let's have them name Sanji's character. And so we have all 8 of the other Straw Hats saying what Sanji's superhero name would be, or his Sentai hero name. So Luffy's is Black Mask, Rooster, or like a cock. What do they call it? Coxcomb, or like a mohawk or something. Sanji's little hair spike. For his mane. Zoro's name for Sanji is Idiot.
So it's the same name.
Great. Yeah. Same name.
He doesn't have to do anything.
Nami's name for him is Cape. Which is pretty good.
Right.
When did Nami become so unoriginal?
I don't know. Usopp's name for him is the Japanese is Inazuma Skyzer. And so Inazuma would be lightning. So I'll probably call it lightning. Skyzer is definitely like sky, and all those Sentai shows are always something something or something or something like that. So it seems to be just like Skyza. Robin's name for him is Unfortunate Mask. Or
Great.
Or Ominous Mask or something like that.
I think we could all agree Robin has the best sense of humor.
Yeah.
I want to hear Chopper's.
Chopper's is Go Sanji. Yeah, it's technically it is Soreyuke.
I need to stop drinking while you tell me.
No, it's Soreyuke Sanji, which is I think that's what that was like the the saying for Chopper Man. Soreyuke Chopper Man.
Isn't it also from Anpanman originally?
Yeah, it's used for that too. It's a very kids centric naming.
He's so adorable.
And Frankie's is Black Rolling Destroyer.
That's about right.
Yep, about right. Frankie.
Yeah.
Of course, Usopp and Frankie have the most awesome names for him.
Yes. Yeah.
And then Brooks is okay, so this is kind of a play on some of Brooks' like sort of little not like his skull jokes, but like some of the weird
his dad
like sort
humor.
of yeah. So he often says urayamashi, where urayamashi means jealous, but the she is like an actual C, like the letter C. So in this case, I would say jealousy, women's Bathman.
Oh my god!
There you go.
So the winner here is Robin.
Robin. Yeah. So
like Chopper's best.
That is Oda. At the end, he's like, "Which name would you pick?"
Okay, so wait,
Zoro's
let's go around.
obviously is the best.
Sam, which would you pick?
We can all agree that Nami's is the worst.
Yes, yeah, I could agree.
Yeah.
Sam, which would you pick?
Because she cares the least.
I wasn't listening.
So you would pick Nami's then. Okay, what's the next question?
All right. So lastly, this is about the scene where Reiju. There's no really way to say this without making it sound like a euphemism, but the scene where Reiju sucks the poison out of Luffy. It's so she does the thing where she like sort of turns towards the camera and licks her lips, and then in Japanese she says "gochi," which is basically just like a shortened cutesy way of saying "gochiso sama," which is what you say when you're done with a meal, like "thanks for the meal." So she goes "gochi," and she sticks out her tongue, and this reader says, "I thought that was really cute, so I tried to do it myself, but instead I keep saying "guti," with because you can't do it with while you're also sticking out your tongue. How do you say that?" She says, and Oda's like, "Well, I mean, to tell the truth, like." It's kind of supposed to go like in order, like she says "gochi" and then she licks her lips. But like if you're already to the point where you can say "goti," then you're almost there. Like it's just around the corner. I believe in you. You can do it. You'll get there. You'll be able to say "gochi" with your tongue out. So there you go.
That's the hard-hitting SBS questions we want to hear.
Yeah. All right. Last SBS header.
The headers, I have to say, I think, except for the terrifying Chopper one, have all been like top notch in this volume. Yeah.
This is a very cute one of Wano Luffy doing the elephant gun, and the smoke around the fist is making the SBS. And let's see. The first question is about the clothes in Wano. He says, underneath, since everyone is wearing kimonos in Wano, are they all wearing the fundoshi underneath, which of course is the little loincloth? And Oda says, all of the, I should point out, this is coming from Pen Name Briefs. So Oda says, of course, the men are all wearing fundoshi, and the women are wearing what is called a yumoji, or which literally means like a bath letter or a character. Like moji means is like a letter, not a written letter, but like a ABC type of letter, which is basically just like a towel that is kind of tied around the waist, and then he has little drawings of what those look like. So. You can see them, and then he helpfully includes a picture of Luffy when he gets his Wano kimono. Just so you know, just so you think about Luffy, he's wearing one of these.
Wait, is that what the One Piece is? Anyway, go ahead.
So the next question is says. Oda Sensei, are you still reading every single, or still at least looking at every single postcard and letter that you get? Which is a good question, since the last time he answered this was probably like at the very start of the series. And Oda says, I read them all. Of course I do. I have, in doing this for 22 years, I have never once discarded or gotten rid of any of my fan mail. It's actually so much, it's so much that it would be almost impossible to keep them at my house. So I actually rent a space to take all of the mail that once I'm done reading it, and I send it there. It's like you can't put it on the second floor because you might bust through the floor. That's how much it is. And he says, "Thank you." It's they're all of your feelings, so of course I can't throw them away.
I was gonna say, as a recently married man, I know my wife would never let me keep a bunch of fan mail from 22 years worth of yeah. So that actually makes more sense.
Yeah, I can't even imagine how much space that must take up at this point. I mean, for One Piece, like, are you kidding me? It's got to be ridiculous.
Yeah, I think just like, Maddie, you have all the Sanji merch, and I still would assume that's a lot less than getting a postcard, like many postcards every single day for 22 years. Probably.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff. All right, almost done here. This is another one from 420 Land, but this is an actual question this time. He says,
he asked an actual question last time too. His other one was the samurai one, wasn't it, with Izo? Or was there one in between? Yeah, I thought the last.
I thought it was a jokey one. Never mind.
Yeah. No, cutting him some slack here.
Okay. Well, this question here is, so I believe it was last volume that he introduced the concept of all of the wildlife of Wano having like flaming fur and feathers, and it was all because they are like categorized the same way as Koma Inu, being the sort of lion dog. So there's Koma dog, there's Koma deer, Koma birds, etc. And so he says, I've noticed something. Hyogoro has hair that kind of looks like it's a flame on top of his head. That must mean he's a Koma human. And Oda's like, whoa, is that right? Okay, then yeah, he's a Koma human. So there you go. The question is answered. What is Old Man Hyo? He is.
That just brings up further questions.
And our last question from the SBS here is, so is the light of history that Imu is once extinguished me? And he puts in the picture of the five elders doing the whole speech where what is the light that must be stricken from history? Tell us their name. And Oda's like, I don't think so. So, go out there, live your life, have no fear. Everyone else, please, too. I beg all of you, have a great time, have a great life. This is the end of the SBS, and I'll see you next volume. So,
that really
there we go.
That.
You
see the five elders at the end of a SBS, and you're like, oh, this will be a great question. I'm sure it won't be about farting. To be fair, it wasn't.
Yeah. So
what did we all learn today? So there's also some Usopp's gallery, and we talked a little bit about this, but Maddie, you got into Usopp's gallery. This is like a treasured volume for you, I assume.
Yeah. It's too bad I don't have it yet, but it will be once I do.
You could treasure the image I took with my camera of your image that you already have.
It's definitely now like anytime I have to have a fun fact about myself for any kind of social painful event, I have a good one now.
I'm One Piece canon. That's how that works, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I will point out too that the actual prize winner of this Usopp Gallery, since it is kind of timely with the cover story going on and us talking about how much we love this cover story, that it is a absolutely adorable. I'm not sure what material they used, but it is Capone and Chiffon and Pez just beaming ear to ear with a lovely little family portrait.
So adorable.
It's great. Yeah.
I should get a full-size version to hang in my living room. 3 of them.
Sure your wife would love that.
I know. Okay, I guess that's it for the volume recap.
Yeah, I think that is. I'm looking forward to seeing the picture of that in your living room.
Yeah, look forward to that. Let's say before 2046. Let's move on to the next segment.
Okay.
All right.
This is the double anime recap for episodes 905 and 906. I'm your host Sam, and today with me once again we have Ed.
Hi.
All right, we are dealing with 2 episodes, mostly pretty solid. 905. I mean, we'll get into the
first half of the first episode
pretty slow.
Was very slow,
but it has a highlight. It has a big flashy finishing blow.
Yes, yeah. It starts to get better, and then it gets better, and then the next episode is better too. So,
right,
it shouldn't have taken this long to fight Hold'em, but it did.
Yeah,
the fighting was pretty good.
So we start with 905, taking back Otama, a fierce fight against Hold'em. And it starts with Hold'em and Luffy staring each other down, and kind of continuing their conversation from last week. I think that even after the title card, I think they've been doing this a few weeks now, where they're still in recap mode even after the title card.
Yeah, like 5 minutes in.
Yeah. So this time Hold'em does mention the Atamaya Thieves Brigade specifically, as opposed to Shutenmaru. The Shutenmaru bit was an addition for the anime, I think. There's a scene where Okiku is kind of explaining the deal with Jack and how Jack is kind of the guy that Hold'em has to respond to, Jack the Drought. And,
I like her response when Luffy's talking about dogs and cats and elephants, and she gets the cute little animal illustrations. That's nice.
Her imagination is very cute. I wonder, like, I kind of like how going back you can kind of wonder, like, oh, is she just thinking about cute animals, or is she a little more aware of the people that they're referring to than we might know?
So is this a replay of like when Jack gets wrecked by the elephant?
Yeah,
that's the same. It's very cool animation the first time, and it is the second time too.
Yeah, it still looks fucking rad.
Right. Awesome.
They replay the Jack getting crushed or getting smacked out of the air by Zunisha.
We're sort of glossing over a lot of Hold'em taunting Luffy. That's about it.
Yeah. The basic idea is Jack is back in town. Jack is back in black. The boys are back in town. Luffy and Zoro are a little bit surprised by this because Jack was at the bottom of the ocean last they left him.
But they do show that he has the teeth. He is a fishman.
Yeah, so it's kind of a two-pronged where like the heroes are amazed, like, what? That guy survived? Meanwhile, Okiku is amazed that they have already dealt with Jack and they've already like smacked him to Kingdom Come.
I'm surprised he hasn't had a more of a role so far in the arc. But that might be spoiling a little.
So Speed reappears, and she's got she's kind of bringing the giant treasure barge or food barge or whatever we want to call it into town where Hold'em is. Luffy can smell the food, and he wants some of the food. And then he and Zoro kind of unanimously agree, yeah, we'll just take the treasure. We'll just take the food for ourselves because that's where all the clean stuff is. And there's quite a lot of Luffy and Zoro cracking their necks to be cool.
Yeah, a lot.
Because they're getting ready to fight.
Way more than they needed.
We have Hawkins and Law crossing paths, although Law is putting in just the bare minimum effort to hide his identity.
No, he's not. He's got his pirate logo on his kimono.
Well, bare minimum. He put a bucket on his head.
Yeah, I guess.
He did something. The thought occurred to him, you know what? I should hide my identity. His tattoos give him later in the next episode, I think his tattoos just straight up give him away. So we have back at the Hold'em scene, the action is starting. Luffy punches Hold'em right in the lion gut and takes Tama, and the lion's teeth are like all shattered. And
yeah, the way they move here is very, very, very well animated.
Yeah, and I think the Zoro versus Okiku, or not versus, but the Zoro and Okiku like teaming up against all the schmucks on the ground also looks really good. There's a sequence where Okiku he's taken hostage. It's kind of a repeat of what happened with the sumo wrestlers, where Zoro didn't want to slash a naked man, and Okiku is taken hostage, and Zoro he just straight up refuses to help her. Like, hey man, I know you're really tough. I know you're strong. I know you can handle yourself. So don't make me protect you just to upkeep some image or whatever she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And they kick some ass. And an embellishment for the anime here is that Hold'em has the sword comes apart and like can whip around like Renji from Bleach.
Or Ivy from Soul Calibur.
So he's got like this big flaming sword that like he can fling around like a whip. And Luffy has Tama, and he's like getting away, but then he notices that there's like bruising on Tama's cheek. He's like, "What did they do to you?" And Tama's like, "No, it's okay. He just used pliers." And Luffy goes off. He's so mad about endangering children that he drops Tama and lets her fall for like an episode and a half.
Yeah, it's quite a ways.
So she's falling in slow motion now, and Luffy's doing his Red Hawk, which is thematically appropriate because Tama and Ace and all that. And I loved the reorchestrated East Blue music here, where it's kind of like Wano Japan style. As Luffy, it's a very good looking scene. As Luffy just plows Hold'em right in the face, and the episode kind of ends with Otama in mid-fall, admiring Luffy's attack and remembering Ace.
What's the lion's name again?
Kamijiro?
Kamijiro. He punches Kamijiro in the face first and breaks his teeth.
Yeah, that's when he was getting Tama in the first place. Yeah. Then we can move on to episode 906, Duel, the Magician and the Surgeon of Death. And so...
I wonder what's going to be in this episode.
Otama's continuing to fall, but Luffy catches her. He just like stretches his arm down and he grabs her. He had no intention of letting her get hurt in the beginning. And Hold'em's body just kind of falls in front of Speed, and Speed's like, dude, what's up? And we've got Zoro and Okiku have Kamachio pulling the food barge around town. Then Luffy gets into a fight with more of Hold'em's henchmen. There's a dude with like a skinned walrus for a hat.
Yeah, they're quite the cast of well, they all look weird.
So this episode looks great from pretty much beginning to end.
Yep, it's like they extended all the cool animation and good stuff they were doing in the second half of the previous episode, and just sort of kept it going, which makes me concerned for like
the next week or two.
Yeah, well, I mean, these episodes, they do look pretty good.
This episode looks fantastic. You've got Luffy, like Tama, he's kind of carrying Tama on his back, and he's doing all these like cool dodges and kicks and stuff. I love there's kind of an arc with Tama as she's clinging on to Luffy for dear life. She's like not really sure what's happening or how safe she is, but then like as Luffy continues to beat dudes up, like she starts to smile, she starts to cheer for him, she has this little moment where she's like, "Big bro, big bro, big bro!" Like she's like getting more excited as she's calling him big bro. So then we have the scene where Luffy and Tama are encountering Speed, and they hop on top of her, and she's kind of doing this like thing. She's got her hand
she's
up.
Trying to like pretend that she's not a horse, but she's a horse.
And this is interesting. Like, there's a little bit of changes from the manga here, where Luffy is telling Tama to try the dango on Speed, and they're like arguing if that works on humans or not. And obviously Speed's like half human, half horse, but in the manga, they just kind of like forced the dango into her mouth, and she's like, "Oh, I'm a good guy now." And in this one, there's a little more of you have a Speed being kind of indignant, like, "No, I'm not gonna eat that. What? You're weird." And then she like smells it. She's like, "Oh, well, dango actually sounds kind of good." And then she like eats it of her own free will. So, so it's a little less weird than it was in the manga. Although they did make sure to get like a close up of like her under boob kind of like bouncing into the frame.
Well, of course. I mean,
take one step forward, one step back, or one step forward, one step sideways.
Well, I do like all of her horsey faces.
Yeah, she's got lots of like big horse smiles. I think we saw that when we first met her. Or did we not? But yeah, she's listening to Otama now. She's taking them to the food barge or wherever, and so I've been dealing with a recurring problem when I take my notes, where the document I'm using keeps wanting to autocorrect Otama as Obama. So that's what I'm looking at right now. They write off, and Obama remembers Ace's Fire Fist attack.
Yeah, it'd be cool if he did, but not in real life.
So yeah, Ace's like little animated Fire Fist to echo Luffy's Red Hawk looks great, as does the whole Hawkins versus Law fight. Looks absolutely fantastic. They have a little banter where Hawkins is he's suspicious. He's like, "I think I know who this is," and Law is kind of putting on airs like, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna take your life. And that's I get to the episode.
Yeah.
And
I don't remember this fight being this long in the manga.
Oh, I think most of the major beats were in there.
Yeah.
But there's a little more, everyone's got to kind of jump around and do a few flips now.
Avoid a few attacks, jump backwards.
Yeah. So Hawkins recognizes Law by his hand tattoos. And Law is thinking to himself, he's thinking about Luffy and Zoro. He's like, even as reckless as they are, they wouldn't do a foolish thing like taking down Hold'em. Which is, why would he put that past them?
Yeah, it's a good question.
So Law's doing a few moves here. He's throwing a rock. I noticed that the subtitles are actually using the proper, like, we usually think of it as shambles, but it's like chambers or whatever.
Well, it's like it's a room. Yeah, chamber.
Yeah. Chambers. He's slashing Hawkins, but of course, when you attack Hawkins, it just hurts one of his henchmen. And so Law is kind of slowly figuring this out as he's trying different attacks. And Hawkins is demanding, "Take your mask off, Trafalgar Law," like he's not even pretending anymore. And he kind of scoops Law's helmet off with his like big swirly sword thing that he does.
It's interesting to see like the visualization of like how Hawkins' men get destroyed when Law like stabs Hawkins through the stomach, and like a bolt of like orange lightning goes through his guy. Yeah,
and also the application of if Law uses his powers on Hawkins, the powers affect the guys.
Yeah.
So you've got a guy who he gets like cut in half, and his top half falls off the horse, but he's alive because it's the op fruit. So yeah, like Luffy and Tama are calling Speed Horselina, and she doesn't like taking orders from Luffy, but she does like taking orders from Tama. And they get onto the treasure barge. They meet up with Zoro and Okiku, and Luffy gets a nice bite of clean meat, and he likes it, but he says, "Oh, I forgot something important," and he does his gum rocket and just leaves the episode. And we don't find out what the most important thing is. I don't even remember.
It's so Luffy.
Huh?
That's so Luffy.
Yeah. So the episode kind of wraps up with the final stretch of the Law Hawkins fight. And Law has made like a big giant room. He's cutting up a bunch of dudes. He gets in a cool sword clash with Hawkins. They're both sword dudes. And Law has this pretty memorable line about how he would prefer, if possible, not to kill anyone because he's a doctor. Not because he has a moral compass, but because it's like, hey, it's kind of counterintuitive to. Mm-hmm. So, anyway, yeah,
I like this because it feels like we're advancing the larger Wano narrative, which has sort of felt like stuck in the mud for like the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, I agree. And
and like the quality of the animation is up, and the things are happening now, so it's positive a couple of weeks for the anime.
Yeah. And just to finish my notes up, they have the treasure barge. The treasure barge comes through, and that's when Law gets kind of scooped up into the main group, and Hawkins is just kind of stood in awe, like, wow, they really just got away from me. Like, what the fuck? And
no sense in chasing after them. They're too fast.
Zoro and Law have a little stare down where it feels like they're about to have a moment. Like they're staring each other down. They're calling each other nicknames. And then the episode just kind of ends. And I noticed that there's no next episode preview for this week. There's just the Romance Dawn preview, which is there not an episode next week?
Let's see. 10/20 is when Romance Dawn airs. So that would be Sunday.
That would be when the episode normally airs, huh?
I guess so.
All right,
well, we'll see.
No episode next week. All right, yeah. You kind of started to give your general thoughts. Is there anything else
that was pretty much it. Hold'em, for all that, he's quickly forgotten.
Yeah, it's not a situation where I was kind of saying this in my review, where you could forgive it a bit if there was a sense of, like, oh, it took us a while to get to this final blow, but like, oh, once we got there, it felt so good. But like, he's just like he's a schmuck.
Yeah, it's run away again.
He's not someone we were ever like when he shows up in the manga. Oda might as well have put like a little footnote, like, oh, don't worry, we're about to wreck this dude. He's not a problem. but like the setup of like, oh, we're introducing this character and then the character getting his comeuppance, like that's a matter of pages in the manga versus like 3-4 episodes in the anime.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where that kind of frustrates me.
But I mean, like 3/4 of this looked great. And
and the second of these 2 episodes, it's kind of a weird one to go all out production values wise, like they have here, but hey, it looks great.
I'm grateful for
it. Like it never stops looking good for like the entire episode.
Mm-hmm.
They do some fun stuff. So yeah, I think we're on the same page here. Ready to move on to the next segment?
Sure am.
All right, let's move.
This is the Piece Together segment, and what luck we have the leading member from Sam's Club here, Sam, to do some disc piece. Sam.
Is Ed not going to ring me in?
Well, he can if go for it.
Feels wrong without it.
It sounds like a K-pop band, Sam's Club. But Sam is going to do some disc piece.
Well, it's better than Sam's Goody.
I don't know about that.
Our disc piece this week, our only one, comes from Morgil, who says, so with how Funimation has been rapidly churning out dubs for the TV specials, how long do you think it'll be before we see a dub of the upcoming Romance Dawn special? Do you think they might even attempt a simuldub with it?
Oh yeah, I thought you meant the one.
No, these are too long to do a simuldub. These are like 100 minutes. Like it's like 4 episodes. But I think they're good about releasing it. So
I don't see why they would go off of their usual schedule for this. How long does usually it's like a year later it comes out on Blu-ray here?
Yeah, they've done like 4 of them now.
To be fair, there's absolutely no rush. I'm not at the edge of my seat for any of these. Like, oh, I need to see this one right away. I mean, because they're all like kind of either they haven't really done anything super original recently. Like when I say original, I mean like that Nebulandia thing or something.
Yeah, I mean the episode ones are better anyway. The episode of East Blue is the best one they've done.
Yeah, and that just came out, and the episode of Skypiea, that's what the next one is called, right? That comes out next month, I think. So yeah, lots of good stuff on the horizon. We got no emails, so we're gonna go straight to Reddit. And what do we have this week, Stephen?
All right, just 2 questions, so I'll read them both. The first one comes from Falcon Gales, who says, a lot of people seem to think 957 set up One Piece's endgame scenario. What do you think One Piece will look like when we reach the final arc? Will the Straw Hats still only be 10? Will it be a straight Straw Hats versus Blackbeard crew fight? Will anyone be dead either before or during the last arc? Also, side note, does Chopper's lifespan fall under reindeer ranges or human ranges? Mind you, the average lifespan of a reindeer is 20 years and Chopper is 17. Oh my God.
Chopper's gonna die. Oh no. No.
He'll probably end up like smack dab in the middle.
In the middle? Yeah. Well, what is a human's lifespan in One Piece? Like assuming they are able to live to old age?
The data is skewed a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we have Correa.
Outliers.
Yeah, I also didn't know reindeer lived 20 years. I thought they were going to say like 12 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's true that we have Correa, but she also has a secret to youth, which she thinks everyone is trying to ask her about.
No, wasn't it more like, how do I stay looking so young? Not really, how do I stay alive? I feel like that's the... How do I stay alive so long, you ask?
Yes, a dozen of one, half 6 of the other, or whatever.
Maybe, I don't know.
All right, so endgame scenario. What do you think?
That was the other question. I thought that was the person's name.
That was the actual question.
I
think the main crew caps out at 10.
Yes.
But then there's the fleet and the alliances and all that stuff that's gonna solidify more as we go.
I have a legitimate question here. Do you think we're gonna get any sort of time skip between? I have an answer that I have in mind for this, but I'm wondering what you guys think. Between then
Not
and
until the
last arc. That's how I feel. But yeah,
I've entertained that possibility.
Like, do they need to be aged up for this final battle? I guess is more of my question. And
I guess just so that when it's over, they can be like, "Oh yeah, we've been adventuring for X number of years,
and we were together for 3 weeks."
Yeah. Although, so part of why I think a time skip would be cool. I've been thinking a lot about how the designs kind of got like more extravagant with the time skip, and I was wondering if maybe there's like another level of extravagance that we're waiting on. Like, I think it'd be cool to see like Luffy go from like his classic vest in the early days to he's got this kind of like piratey jacket now, and then maybe after the next time skip, he's finally got like the full blown like Roger style captain's jacket.
I can't wait for that, by the way. My favorite art that Oda does, like I think there was one in one of the color walks, but I forget what it was for. With him in that cape walking away with the fist, and like all of my favorites.
Looks great whenever he wears a cape like.
Absolutely. But you know what? I think Oda has switched his tactic from fancy outfits to just more muscles. Because that's what we've been, what was it, Beefy D Luffy?
Yeah.
That's the direction we've been going in there.
I think
you gotta give him a lot of clothes, so it's more fun when the clothes come off.
To each their own, I guess.
I think it would be cool. I think he could potentially pull it off to where it's like, okay, this is the, sort of the final form for the final arc, sort of thing. But he doesn't have to do that. It just kind of depends on what he feels like the story needs. The thing that I'm kind of curious about right now, at least, is like that So in that chapter, Sengoku says, "Oh yeah, there was this whole thing," and like he reveals this as like a backstory to Kaido and Big Mom, like what it means that they are working together or clashing or whatever, like what their sort of personal background is. And then he's like, "Oh yeah, and there's this guy, there was this guy Rox, which is part of this story, but he's not around anymore, so like you don't have to worry about that." But Oda was
they're
also
kind of alluding to Rox coming back in some form, aren't they?
That's the thing. So Oda, in his like comment about like, oh, the Straw Hats are going to face like a living legend lurking in the world of One Piece, and it's going to be their worst foe yet, and all of this stuff. And so I was thinking about this. This is like a shower thought the other day, and I was like, well, he can't be like the biggest, baddest guy ultimately, because that has to be Blackbeard. Like that's the whole point of why Blackbeard's been in the story since he was first mentioned in Drum was when he was like Ace was searching for him. The first hint we got of his existence. Like you don't build up a character for that long and not have them be the most important, villain at the end. So it made me wonder, like, well, doesn't Blackbeard have Moria right now? So couldn't he use Moria to like bring Rox back as a zombie?
Oh, that would be interesting. I mean, it wouldn't be. It would be like whoever's shadow would be like the dominating personality,
right? But as a way to like introduce
Blackbeard
that
puts his own shadow
right
in Rox's body.
Something that's not just like, oh, guess what? I was hiding behind this rock for 39 years or whatever.
His name is Rox. Where else is he gonna hide?
It would feel like too much if he was like an actual major antagonist to like pad the series out a little longer.
Yeah,
Rox. I know where Rox would hide under paper.
Let's see.
Okay,
that's how he died.
Is there anyone with a paper fruit? Because that would be it. Yeah.
Isn't there?
No, that's the anime Read or Die. That's what you're thinking of.
Oh no, a paper cut. That's the ultimate attack you could provide. And go ahead.
I like Rox so like as right now I like him too much just as a way to connect all these different pieces that like Rox is connected to basically every non-Roger associated pirate from Yield times.
Mm-hmm. It's super crazy No Way Pirate School.
Yes, right.
Yeah, and he seems like I bet he'll be important when we get more into the Lost Century. When we get more into like maybe the Mary Joa treasure. Like I feel like he's a way we can smooth out a lot of these just like really extraneous little subplots that don't have a lot of connection as of right now, or are starting to finally connect.
Yeah, and we know that with Oda's storytelling style, like he's not just going to like he does info dumps, but he doesn't do them in the sense of like, oh, let me just tie together all of these random loose ends. Oh, by the way, the answer to this question was that. Answer to this question was that. Like he wants something like a character who can, represent that meaningful stuff. Yes, and tie together in a an organic way.
And I like all the suggestions I've seen that there's a chance like maybe Blackbeard is carrying on Rox's will in some way. Like maybe that's where the meaning is going to come from, where Blackbeard's way of being a pirate, Blackbeard's sort of mission is an extension of what Rox tried and failed to do. Right.
Yeah, he's the evil version of the pirates freedom. It's like Luffy is like Luffy and Roger are like freedom for everyone, and Rox and Blackbeard are like freedom for me but not for thee. And they both believe in freedom, quote unquote. Something along those lines.
They're the people who believe in sort of freedom and like individualism, but like Luffy is an individualist in like a very like world positive way, versus destroying the world or whatever.
Yeah. Yes, Pepsi Shake says, how do you think the Shichibukai being demolished will affect the future Zoro-Mihawk relationship? Early in the series, I always thought that was Zoro's last battle, but when Zoro became Mihawk's apprentice, that complicated things. The recent events that push Mihawk away from the world government seem to complicate things even more. I struggle to imagine the Straw Hats' last battle somehow involving Mihawk as the enemy. I would prefer a Zoro-Mihawk showdown. Any thoughts how this could be tied into the final showdown?
He's a real, like, wrench in the gears kind of...
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the Straw Hats' dreams, they don't... At face value, they don't all seem like they're going to come. They could come all true at once. Like maybe it's not necessarily in the final battle that it happens. Maybe the final battle happens and then the crew breaks up and Zoro's like, okay, I'm going to go have my final showdown with Mihawk in the epilogue or whatever.
I mean, I think, I'm thinking about it now. I think what's likely is that someone else beats Mihawk and then Zoro has to beat them.
Yeah, right? I think Greg's brought that idea up.
Okay.
Yeah, like what if Shiryu kills him?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that now he has that relationship with Mihawk. I feel like he has a relationship with Mihawk like Luffy has a relationship with Shanks. Maybe not quite to that, but they have like a real grudging respect, or as much of a respect Zoro is capable of.
Yeah. I think that's to me, that would be the danger for Mihawk, is the fact that, yes, he saw, he trained Zoro basically, and they had that thing. And that to me is like that's like the story flag of like, oh, well, okay, Mihawk kind of served his purpose. So now he is expendable. Oda can have a villain kill him and then, provide Zoro with a greater motivation or something.
It does kind of make me... Like, before Whitebeard died, I remember thinking, like, man, like, if Luffy has to fight this guy someday, like, it's not gonna feel good. They're both, we love them both.
Right.
And then he died. What was I gonna say?
And someone took his place.
Oh, and also, Zoro spent 2 years with the guy, which is way longer than he spent with the Straw Hats, if you think about it. Try not to think about it too long, but it's true. And on an island with him and Perona. And I mean, he's going to talk. If he's going to talk, he's going to talk more with Mihawk. Let's be honest here. I mean, he'll be talked at by Perona, but that's a different. Anyway, that's the last one on Reddit.
Yeah, that's it for Reddit.
Ed, I believe it's time to
piece the tweet.
Yeah, good one.
Time to piece the tweet. Yeah,
that's good.
All right. Let's see. David Bednar, our friend who's coming on the show in a couple of weeks, has a question for us. If you had naming rights, what would you name Soba Mask?
Ah, okay.
Oh, I see what's happening here. That's a good. Well, I think Maddie needs to take this question.
Well, there are more questions. We're gonna do this one first.
Well, I mean, but Maddie has to take this question.
Yeah.
Oh, well, everyone has to answer this one.
No, I know, but you have to do it
you
first.
Have to go first.
Yeah, that's what
handsome boy.
God, that was the most predictable. No. Look, it's better than Nami's. I think we can agree. Sam, what would yours be?
Mask Soba.
Oh my God, that's somehow worse than Nami's. Steven?
Well, he's got that hair, so I'm gonna say there's something about Sanji.
Ew. But also, yeah. But
Take me a second.
Ed.
I'm a helicopter idiot.
The Zoro of the podcast has spoken.
The hair looks like a helicopter.
I'm gonna go with
What kind of helicopters are you looking at?
It's because he's in the air, so his hair spins around as he. I'm gonna call him the cock of the walk.
Nice.
All right, next question from David is, what would each of the Straw Hats carve on their jack-o'-lanterns for Halloween?
Oh my god, these are good questions. Okay, wait,
Frankie would have a robot jack-o'-lantern.
Oh yeah. So I thought you meant each of us.
Stack up like a bunch and make this giant.
Usopp would just have like a really like he would be one of those people who can do like the like halfway carving and like shading on the.
Yeah.
What would he have? He would try to do something like really scary to scare Chopper.
There's something there's a event that's nearby here in New York called the Great Jack-o'-lantern Blaze, and I think Usopp could do all of those. They have these intricate like Irish like designs and that's definitely what he would do. But I want to say for Frankie, he would definitely have a functioning pumpkin robot. 100%.
Yeah, it's got like
it would actually
inside of it, and it's got
it would shoot
shoulder pads made out of like the tops of other pumpkins.
Anji would be like, "I'm making this into a pie."
I am not wasting food.
I was gonna say it would be like a stick figure with boobs.
Also possible. I guess Luffy's would just be a curved.
Luffy would not. I don't think I trust Luffy carving a pumpkin.
Zoro would chop his in half, probably.
Good answer there. Yeah. Robin would carve something really morbid.
No, it's cute. Her art is always cute.
It's cute. Oh yeah, I guess yeah, you're right.
She'd carve like Chopper's face into it or something.
Yeah.
Do we say Brooks already?
No, what would Brooks would just be like the husk with nothing in it, and it would be like cracked open or something. It's just
because he's like scared of like ghosts and zombies and stuff.
That's
so I don't think he would. I think he would lean more towards like music and like rock and roll and stuff.
Oh yeah, that's true. Just like a musical note. Yeah.
He just smashed it.
That's a good question. Yeah, that's
for smashing pumpkins.
Homer Simpson smiling politely. Okay, last question from David. Which pirate crew gives the best candy for Halloween? Which gives the worst? What do they give?
Wow.
The kid pirates would literally murder you if you knocked at their door. So that's probably the worst.
I think we can all agree that the fire tank pirates would give tons of awesome candy because they're fantastic.
Yeah, but they would also blackmail you. Probably. We give something to you, you give something to us. You know.
The Straw Hats would like have already eaten it all. Like Luffy would have just eaten all the candy before they even handed it out.
But the thing is, Sanji would have made this like handmade fresh chocolates and like unbelievable thing, but Luffy would definitely have already stuffed it all in his mouth.
Yeah. Blackbeard pirates have black licorice.
Oh god,
that's so evil!
Evil bastards.
Like, what's the crew that like gives out toothbrushes?
Oh,
Law.
Or like healthy snacks.
I don't know. The red hair pirates give out full king size candy bars.
Oh.
And bottles of Jack.
Yeah. Oh no, you're right. The red hair pirates give out alcohol to all ages.
Those little tiny ones you get on airplanes.
Because remember, he made fun of Luffy for drinking milk when he was like 8. You know, he would totally just give those little whiskeys to like kids. Here you go. Oh no, the little chocolate whiskeys. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, the little like
he would definitely give those out. Wow. He is such an alcoholic. Anyway,
the Barto Club would be like, well, we don't have any candy, but we do have these Luffy Senpai pin badges, and they only cost 10,000 berries each. So
I saw they're actually doing that merch now at the Mugiwara store.
They've actually had them for a while, but they like reissued them in a new way.
I need it. Like the second I saw that cover story, I'm like, I want that.
All right, last question from Neko Wafers, who says, "How spoiler safe is Stampede? I'd like to invite my friend to see it with me, but she's at the beginning of Whole Cake Island."
Maddie, you saw it like 8 times.
You should be fine. I think the only thing that he might do Snake Man. I think that would be the only spoiler from Whole Cake Island.
Do they reference his new bounty?
Not. Someone asked that, and I don't know if it's like visible on the poster, but if it is, yeah, that could be it. They could like mention the bounty, but I don't know.
I mean, I'm also
it's
just
not like
posit,
a major point. Yeah.
I'm just gonna posit here with the Snake Man thing. I'm assuming it looked way cooler on a big screen than it did in the original fight.
With the film budget.
Yeah, that's right. Not to say it didn't look good. I think the Snake Man premiere was pretty nice. But, I mean, I'd have to assume, especially with the director on this movie, that, you know, I wouldn't mind seeing, like I'm trying to think back, like, if I saw Second Gear or something like that for the first time on a big screen, I feel like I'd be okay with it.
Yeah, I think, like, as far as if you're, like, super, super spoiler conscious, you might have to get through the fight to Katakuri. But I think, like, for a normal viewer who would be fine with that, like seeing a form like that, especially because Snake Man is only kind of, you know, it's like another version of Gear 4. Yeah. As long as they're through Dressrosa, there's not any like major world changing spoilers, in my opinion.
Dressrosa or Zoe?
Dressrosa.
Okay.
Is there something? It's hard.
I'm curious. I
know. Like, I know you guys haven't seen it, so I'm like trying to think.
Yeah.
But I think it's because it's mostly like it's a separate plot, and so like the only thing it would really be would be like characters.
Yeah, I was gonna say like I mean I haven't seen it myself, but like the whole point of doing the movies is that like it's not like you need to understand. They're not picking up the plot from the end of this arc or that arc because they're not supposed to be like taking place at any particular time. So
yeah.
It doesn't seem like
you won't get like any like major spoilers for the series.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, cool. So that's gonna do it for Piece Together. Ready to round off?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Ready.
This has been the One Piece Podcast, episode 590 for October 13th, 2019. We have a contest going on. It's called Stump OPP. I want to call it Stump the Jump, but that doesn't really make any sense. So to enter, all you have to do is stump us, the One Piece Podcast, in our own game, our trivia game that we do at the end of every episode. So all you have to do is submit it with the hashtag StumpOPP, or email us with that same Stump OPP header, subject header, and send us questions. If you send multiple questions, I will only ask one. You could tell us the answers, and by us I mean me. Otherwise, I will look up the answers because I'm the one who's going to be asking them, and someone needs to know the answer. So if we ask them, we're not just all sitting here saying, I don't know, if we don't all know. So that'll be that. I'm assuming we'll be stumped on multiple questions. I hope. So if we are, we'll randomly decide between those that stumped us. And hopefully I could give, if there are not a ton of people who stump us, hopefully I could give stuff to everyone who does. So there's more information about that on our website. And by the way, this is, in cooperation with Viz and the Color Walk Compendium, the second volume, which Stephen helped do the translations for. It's beautiful. It's an amazing compilation of Oda's fantastic art. So if you haven't picked it up, pick it up. And you also could potentially win it in this contest. So we're going to do a little trivia of our own at the end. But before we get into that, Maddie, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at OhThat'sRaspberry, and you can also find me on Patreon, patreon.com/Maddie's Art Club, where you can get stickers and a postcard each month.
And congratulations again for getting in volume 94.
Ooh, thank you.
Yeah. Sam.
They can find me on Twitter at Lucky Chainsaw. They can find me on AnimeNewsNetwork.com doing the daily streaming reviews for One Piece and Black Clover. And they can find me on the One Piece podcast every week doing the anime recaps.
We can. And Steven, thank you so much. Again, I know this is not like an easy task doing these volumes, and we really appreciate them.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Yeah.
You can follow me on Twitter at Translatosaurus and read One Piece and Samurai 8 every week in Viz's Shonen Jump or Manga Plus.
I noticed Samurai 8 was advertised in this volume of One Piece, like in the little, the things they give out.
Was it?
Yeah, the those little things that you tend to throw away that they.
The Jump magazine, or not a magazine, but they're like catalog advertisements.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I'll just say like, especially when I first started collecting the Japanese volumes, I always found like every little thing so special because it was like this is so different than like the American ones, and look at all this, and they get all these special things.
It's advertising.
I was gonna say that even the advertising was like, ooh, look at all these words I don't understand. Ed, how could the good people out there contact us?
You're Zach_Logan on Twitter. I'm Edward E. One Piece. I'm also at Weeb Trailers. You can check out some. There's one really old weird trailer that I'm going to post tonight. Check that out. It's an old OVA called Lock the Superman, and it's a very interesting trailer, and it's a pretty good OVA too. Anyway,
wait, podcast it's called Lock the Superman.
Yes, it is. Just watch the trailer.
Yeah, I will. Yeah,
I'll post it later. Yeah. The podcast can be found at OnePiecePodcast.com, Twitter.com, YouTube.com, and Facebook.com/OnePiecePodcast. OnePiecePodcast@gmail.com is our email address. One Piece Podcast is a Skype name. You can subscribe on SoundCloud, subscribe on Spotify, subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts, or call us on our phone number, Zach.
And that phone number is 347-497-MAJI. That phone number, again, is 347-497-6254. Call anytime.
Anytime.
For your questions, comments, theories, and how to gain membership to the Sam's Club. I do want to also mention directly after we finish recording this, we're going to also be recording our exclusive Patreon podcast. It's called Crewing Around. Provided we could get all the people together to do it. It's a podcast about nothing and anything. And if you are a Patreon subscriber, you could also throw suggestions as to what you want to hear us ramble on about. So another great reason to subscribe to Patreon. Also, Maddie's amazing alternate images and sketches. This week we only have the one because, I mean, it was obviously the best joke. So you could check that out also at patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. And one last thing before trivia. People are always shocked when I mention we are on Spotify, we are on YouTube, and all the things that Ed mentions every week. Guys, listen to Ed. He is prophetic. He is filled with wisdom. Even though he repeats the same thing at the end of every show, it's all amazing to listen to.
I'm just drilling it into your head.
Yeah, that's what he's doing. This town is a part of us all. So let's do some trivia. We're going to be doing it kind of the same thing we did last week. You guys pick a number between 1 and 958. I'm going to ask you a question about it, corresponding to the chapter for the number that you pick. Remember, all of these chapters are available for just $2 a month. Maddie's not going to be participating in this. It is not because she has to go somewhere else, but not because she has to go somewhere else, but just because she does not want to take part in this trivia, I assume. We're not going to take this personally, Maddie. Anyway, you could pick a number, and I'll do the corresponding chapter, a trivia question from a corresponding chapter. You could, for I think it's like $2 a month, $1.99. You could get access to the whole back catalog on shonenjump.viz.com. Anyway, so the order is going to be Sam, Steven, and Ed. This is almost like an all-stars version. I feel like you three are the ones who win most often. So
Steven and Alex win occasionally.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay. So
I'm adjusting into comfortable laying down on the couch mode.
This is the part everyone turns off. Anyway, no. So Sam, pick a number.
8.
Okay, 8. I now realize you could sort from 1 to 958 and not the other way around, so that makes my life easy. Chapter 8. Wow, this looks so different. That's all I'm like thinking.
I bet. Yeah, especially
like,
after
Jesus. Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. How hard should I make this?
It's chapter 8. I think it can be pretty hard.
This is going to be one of the harder questions. Name. Okay, Luffy is attacked by three random members of the Buggy Pirates who I don't know if we ever get the names of. Here, this
probably
is
in a
like
data
such
book somewhere.
Yeah, it's probably in a data book. One of them has several really distinguishing characteristics. You could name any distinguishing characteristics from any of them, but
one of them,
and not I should say. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Said one of them wears a hat.
Okay,
that's my guess. No, none of them.
Well, the ones who attack Luffy, no, not a hat. One has headwear, but that's as far as. Steven, sorry.
Okay, so the one guy, the one guy is wearing a beanie. He's like the skinny one, and then there's the guy with the there's the bigger hefty guy who has like short shaved hair. I want to say he's the one who like blushes when he thinks about how cute Nami is, and then the last guy has like carrot top hair or something. Like he looks more like an actual clown.
I'm gonna give this to you because you're describing three characters from this chapter on Buggy's crew, but they're the three that are rowing Zoro, not the three who are beating.
Oh, that's who I thought you were talking about.
Yeah, we're talking about like the guys who Luffy beats up, and then Nami's like, "Oh, hey, you're strong. I'll team up."
Right. I thought we were talking about the guy who got his skin bleached by 4Kids.
No, that's later. This is chapter 8.
That did happen though. That did happen.
Look, I'm gonna give that to Steven unless Ed could correctly identify any distinguishing character. Okay, so the reason why these stuck out to me is because the one in the center is literally has a bolt through his head like Frankenstein, but not through his neck, through his head.
Oh yeah.
2 lines of stitches, and my favorite part is his shirt says Hanswurst. Like bratwurst, except Hanswurst, right. Which I assume is his name on his shirt. The other one has a bandana, and I think that is the one who was bleached by 4Kids, actually. But he doesn't have very tan skin in this one. And the third one has this, like, almost like Euro style, like, he shaves everything below, like, that upper ear part, but then also has a ponytail. It's a very weird... Yeah, it's not a good... None of them look good. I'll put it that way. None of them are stylish.
Ugly man.
But Steven did correctly name all 3 on the boat with Zoro, which is extremely impressive, so I'm definitely giving him that point. Steven, you want to pick a number?
All right. I'm going to use my orangey to get a number. 231.
That's a random number generator for those listening.
Yes, the RNG.
Okay, 231. Oh, this is a good one. What are the insects? Name any of the insects, I should say, attacking the Straw Hats. That freak, that freaked them out.
I know there's a giant like mole cricket, I want to say, that Zoro's fighting. There's
I love that he keeps beating it on the head with the blunt end of his sword and he doesn't get it. That's a very funny chapter.
Yeah.
Should I? This is like probably one of my favorite anime episodes too. I like this one.
Yeah, they get chased around by there's the like swarm of roly polies and gosh, who's there's a bunch of bees that chase Chopper around, I think.
Yeah,
isn't that right?
Pretty close with all of these. You're like the tangent. You're like naming the insect closest to each of these. I'm gonna give that to you. You already got like 3 of them. There's a lot. Also pigs.
Remember a big centipede.
The pigs.
The centipede. There's a lot. So I that's why I was saying I was giving you just one. So there's that. What are those sword grasshopper-y things that actually come in from the previous chapter?
Praying mantis.
Praying mantis. Sorry. That one they don't name in this chapter. It says a giant praying mantis right here. Then I should also ask you, Steve. I'm sure you know the answer to this. Who is giving the orders to all of these bugs?
Oh, that was the Southbird.
Yeah. So then there's also the roly-polies you were thinking of. Are actually ladybugs, but Usopp thinks they're dung balls from a dung beetle, which is actually really funny. Funny that that's where Usopp's brain goes. It's like he thinks that it's giant poop from a insect. That's the thing. And then it's the grasshoppers that Zoro hits on the top of the head, but you won't actually see him do that in the manga. You just see the what do you call it? The bump. There's a slug that they try and throw salt at. There are hornets, fireflies, cockroaches, and it ends with pigs. So that's a fun scene. Yeah. So I'm going to give that one to Steven too. Steven only needs 1 more point, but Ed, it is your turn. I love that chapter, and I could talk about that all day.
It's a great chapter, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go with 812.
It's fun that you could just pick a random chapter and it's usually going to be a good one. But let's see if this one is.
Oh, it's One Piece. I mean, how could it not be?
This is a good chapter. I like this one. Let's just see. Okay. Yeah, we've been doing a lot of bounty stuff. So I'm going to ask you, Capone Beige it comes in this chapter. And we find out his bounty as of this moment, as of, what is this, chapter 812. What is it?
750 million?
No, it's not 750 million.
I'm the last person to ask that question.
Well, Sam, you were bragging on Little Piece that this is your expertise.
Yeah.
What is Gang Beige's bounty in chapter 812?
300 million.
Perfect.
Nice.
Wow. Your reputation is warranted. Okay, Sam, your turn.
750.
Assuming that's the middle of Dressrosa.
I think so.
Okay, chapter 750 is the beginning of it ends with the beginning of an important fight between 2 characters. And this fight, I'll give you the hint, takes place on the ground below the Pika statue, and does not involve any of the Straw Hats or any of the gladiators. What is this fight?
What?
Sam.
Doesn't involve the Straw Hats or the gladiators.
Yeah.
And it's the start of a fight.
It's a mostly one-on-one fight.
Who are we defining as the gladiators? Like everyone who was in the tournament?
No. It does involve one person who was in the tournament, but did not enter as his own name.
Yeah, they weren't. Yeah, he wasn't in the.
Yeah,
he wasn't in the Battle Royal part.
Well, is it like all the Quiros Diamante stuff?
No, Steven. For the win.
The gladiators are the people who go in when the music goes. Man, honestly, I was expecting him to get this, so I was not thinking about this. No, it's not really coming to mind. Nope.
Ed.
Sabo and Fujitora.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh,
interesting.
Sabo. Yeah, he was in the final round. He wasn't in the Battle Royal.
That wasn't a very long fight, though, was it?
It was pretty long.
It was mostly unseen. Mostly
that's
undrawn.
the thing. Yeah.
Because when you say like long fight, I'm like, oh, Frankie Senior Pink. It's like
that's what I thought.
My original phrasing of that question was going to be that, but then I realized, okay, I don't think that's actually where it starts. I think it started before then.
Whose turn is it?
It is Steven's turn. Yeah.
All right.
By the way, the score is we're playing to 3. The score is Sam has 1, Steven has 2, Ed has 1. Sam.
Right.
I mean,
when did I? Oh yeah, I got the component.
All right.
Bounty.
Thing says 173.
Thing says 173.
I feel like this thing tends to go lower.
That's probably good though. Yeah.
It's random.
Yeah.
I love this chapter too. The only one I haven't liked so far was the last one we did. Okay. This chapter ends with a transponder snail responding from a certain establishment. What is the name of it?
From a certain establishment. This is 173.
And it's a big climactic cliffhanger, and it's just a picture of a transponder snail, a ridiculous looking transponder snail.
That isn't Mr. Zero's transponder snail, is it?
I'm not answering whose it is. I'm just what established.
The question is, where is it?
Where?
No. I'm just asking who is responding on the other end. Oh. Right, you could answer that, or you could answer what establishment they say they're from. That's my hint. My only hint.
I don't know. It's just like going back to when Crocodile was talking to Sanji, and he says this is the crappy restaurant.
Perfect.
Oh, it is. Okay,
yeah, you got that on the head.
That was my first guess, but then I thought, no, that was in Little Island or.
But then he does it again with the Banana Gator, if you recall.
Okay.
Yeah, it
Crap
was like
Cafe or whatever.
Restaurant the Crap. But I mean, you got it basically.
Yeah.
I think Funimation says Crap Cafe.
I like Crap Cafe. I love alliteration. Yeah, alliteration's good. Restaurant the Crap is actually very funny. I like the combo of the front. Yeah, it's fancy, but it also sucks.
Did they spell it all
fancy,
French?
But it's
like CRAPE.
Oh my god! But that sounds like the crap. That sounds like the crepe. They should have definitely done like an accent mark. Restaurant le crap.
Yeah.
But you just say it very American. Restaurant le crap.
You say it
anyway.
Crap.
Say it, Frenchie. Okay.
Sorry. Anyway, that's today's podcast. I think that's it. We're going to be back next week. We're going to be talking about chapter 958, I believe we're up to. We're going to be talking about it with Mr. Nathan / Alan Ortega, who it's been a while since he's been on the show too, so that's going to be exciting. And then the following week we have Matt Cohen on, so you want to listen to that one too. Remember, we have special features and stuff. That's all on patreon.com/One Piece Podcast. Check that out. But until next week, my name is Zach.
My name is Ed.
We'll see you then, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
The funny thing is, you gave me 3 points, and none of them were answers that were exactly correct.
Close enough.
They're all close.
Steven, take your victory.
All right.